Hello and welcome back to Feldy, Farming Simulator 11 map created by Farmer Yip. I've been in the process of planting our fields and we've done a fair sized chunk of the map, although it's obviously going to take a while. As we can see here, we're on the northwest side. We've kind of come up through the far west side, if you will, starting at the bottom. Let's see, if you look on there, we have planted 14 and 15, 21, and kind of back this way. And now we kind of came over to here. I still have this field over here that needs to be fertilized. So while this fella is working away, we're going to go take a look at our fertilizer and continue with it with the kelp bit that we've been doing. We have a full head of fuel. But you know, I discovered something about our kelp fertilizer spreader, and it has the specialization of trailer in it. And maybe you remember, maybe you don't, but we have several mods in here that modify the behavior of fuel consumption. I'm driving right down our hedge. Yeah, just ignore that. We would never do this in real life. That'd be a lot of scratching the paint. It's just, this is the easiest way I can conceive of to try to take care of fertilizing this field and getting through it without using all of my fuel. So we have several mods in here that impact, oh boy, we need to fix this or something so that it sits level. I think I'm just going to send it. There we go. Oop. We have a mod that impacts fuel during threshing, during plowing and cultivation, and also when we are hauling a trailer. And so having the specialization of trailer in here is significant because when you're hauling more than, I think it was 20,000 liters, your fuel drops like a rock. So I have spent buco bucks trying to keep this tractor full of fuel as we scatter our fertilizer on the field. So boom, let me take that. Actually, I'll just kind of peel on around this rock formation here so you can kind of see where we've planted, where we haven't. We're kind of right in the middle of it. And so I at least wanted to show where things were kind of in the middle of the planting, even though I'm doing a huge portion of it off screen. And I think what we put here in number 15, by the way, is corn, maize. Although right next to it, there will be kind of a dividing line here, and just to the left of the tractor, I think that'll be in barley. Straight ahead is kind of up for grabs. The intent of this field here was to be as a cash crop, and the one to the left of the tractor now I think was also intended to be for cash crop. But we'll see. I'm kind of I got the corn right now. The price of corn versus the price of barley and wheat, especially wheat, is substantially different, so it makes more sense to have corn as our cash crop. My goodness, it is just throwing this thing around like a rag doll. You know, that's something I haven't done a lot of, is change the weight on mods, and I think it has something to do with entering the mass in the i3D file. Yeah, this just doesn't it doesn't look right to be tossed around off the hitch. Of course, if I was a better driver, that would probably help also. But what can I say? And here now, I'm going to have to figure out a way to go around this rock island in the middle of the field here. I'm doing a horrible job using up way more fertilizer than I should, but I think I'm better off doing it out away from the edge on this one versus trying to go through the hedge like I've done on the others. If I try to climb the rock, yeah, that'll stretch the limits of accepted realism. So I'm not hitting every square inch with fertilizer, but hopefully I'm getting enough that we'll notice a huge difference when we have a crop this time around. Oh, and I just noticed in my, here, I'll try to pick it up down here, I am now at 50% for my usage of this kelp fertilizer. So, well, that's a fair number of fields that I've gone over. So I still have a fair number left, but I also, and here maybe we'll just look here in our inventory, fertilizer storage, I still have 13,500 liters over in storage. So once I empty this out, which is going to still take a little while, oh, bounce, I still have some down there that I can draw from to finish it off. And you know what? It may be enough to get the entire job done. We'll just have to see. What I can't remember, well, I guess we can get there. It must have been, was it 63,000 some liters? I think that's what I had in storage. I gotta kind of keep a record of this so I know in the future, well, how much kelp and how much biofuel do I dedicate to the kelp fertilizer station, if you will. Because all I need is just enough, you know, to make sure I cover the fields. There's no sense doing more because there's some other things in the map I'd like to do, like the animals that I know are gonna require the usage of biofuel. Well, and we almost have this here field done. Just one more swipe and we will have it licked. And then, as you can see, I'm already low on fuel. I'm going to be heading over to give it some sauce. This has been a very handy mod over here to have. Get closer. And while it's fueling up, I'm going to head back to this other guy, and he's, of course, finished. And whenever I hire him, he does an okay job, but he leaves plenty of bits left in the field that we'll go clean up. And anybody that's played Farm Sim 11, any Farm Sim, knows that cleanup is just part of the job as we go into the field to get him where he was hired. Really, over here, there's only 2 fields to plant. The other 2 have a perennial crop in them called a red clover. I'm putting barley in here, and I guess I got a whole strip in here I can put in. The reason I was putting barley in, you know, if worse comes to worse, I could call it a cash crop, but over here is a feed plant, and one of the inputs is barley for the cattle feed, I believe. So I'm calling both of these fields barley. Previously we had OSR in them. But really, I mean, I've had some thought of just maybe turning them all into red clover, that kind of thing, and turning it into feed stuff so I don't have to drag the combine over here. But I don't know, it doesn't take that much to get it over here. It'll just be a little painful taking care of the bales and whatnot to deal with everything in fullness. We did it before, and we'll have bales on these other. I'm kind of curious what these strips are over here, like along here. It's almost as if the area where the windrow was placed is taking longer for it to regrow for some reason. And hopefully it regrows. And you can kind of tell by looking at it, it isn't fully regrown or fully harvestable, even though it has the red flower. You can tell that the distance texture is off. The distance texture should be red, so I'm kind of curious to see if it eventually turns to the proper color to let me know when it can be harvested again. Whoops. Always painful to try to drive straight. And always a challenge to try to figure out the most efficient way to hire these fields done. Probably should have cultivated a little bit more to take some of these bumps out of the field. I'll try to smooth them off here a little bit. And then once I get him going, I know what I'm going to do too. I'm going to just go at a slight angle, just enough so he'll turn around okay, I think, on higher mode when we get him going that way. It actually goes decently quick. You know, it's Farmer Yip gave us a pretty wide planter, so you cover ground fairly rapidly, so which is really helpful. I suppose maybe some would want a narrower planter, but this will work. All right, let me change my angle because I know he's going a different direction. I'll get him hired, and we'll hop back to our other tractor. And here, oh, careful. Oh my goodness. We'll just cut across the field here because there's no crop in it. There's nothing else to fertilize over there. I'm kind of making the decision to fertilize it after I put it in the ground. But I know there's a road over here which will go by the access point to the water tower. So we'll just head kind of over to the field. Look at that. I mean, you can just watch the bar go down a fuel as it just uses it so rapidly. And this all looks ready for harvest. And like I say, I'm really curious to see, because I have a feeling once I get all the fields planted, I'm going to be looking for a few things to do. So that may be the point at which, you know, I start cutting and baling these other... Oh, I really did a botched job there. Alright, here we go. Trying to hug the edge of the field. Yeah, just the trip over here used a ton of fuel. Because of the inks, I'm hauling a trailer. But I don't think we'll be hurting for money. Even with everything that I've done in here, we're only negative in our cash by about 12.5. By all rights, I probably should just borrow it on the line of credit, but it isn't forcing me to. Fortunately, the game doesn't force you to take a loan on when it comes to getting fuel or fertilizer, that kind of thing. Well, I don't think about fertilizer. Or seeds with which to plant. It doesn't force you, but I know if we tried to purchase equipment right now, you know, it wouldn't allow us to do that because technically we don't have any cash in the bank. And as you can see, I can move along at a pretty rapid clip when I am fertilizing, which is handy. It helps the limited amount of fertilizer that we have, kelp, to go quite a bit further than it otherwise would. And I still can't figure if I modded the fertilizer spreader to hold 50,000 liters. In some ways, I could fix my fuel problem if I lowered it to a much lower amount, you know, where it wouldn't require so much fuel consumption to haul it around. But that's okay. There's a price to be paid for a smaller quantity, of course, and everybody here knows it. It's more trips down to visit the place that makes the fertilizer. So at least by doing this, I can fertilize my fields, I can carry a huge quantity and don't have to do a lot of excessive road trips. Isn't it interesting where we as players choose to be realistic versus not? Here I am racing around this field carrying a massive quantity of fertilizer. This thing is flopping all over creation, and I'm okay with it. And I just did a field where I ran it right through the hedge, but yet I'll be careful enough that if I have a crop growing, I won't unnecessarily drive through the field. You know, you pick your poison, or where you want to be real. What can I say? So I've just been spending time off cam trying to take care of all of this, and thought I would just pop an episode kind of here in the middle. And you know what? I'm probably gonna need some sauce over here, so I'll just take this guy over so that he has everything he needs to get refueled. Matter of fact, I'll just refuel him while he's waiting. But I'm curious, those of you that still play Farming Sim 09, 11, 13, 15, whatever, before the era when we had the Seasons mod available, when you replanted your fields, did you try to do what I'm doing here, you know, force a season, if you will, plant them all at the same time, or was there some other strategy that you had for replanting? Well, I think I'm sitting right up there. We go. I want to get out. It just consumes it so fast, even if I'm sitting in there. Maybe I'll hop back in here. Yeah, so that way I can tell when he's done. So we refilled him with sauce. And we'll just kind of park him here. You know, I don't know if the other guy... Nope, he's fine on fuel. He's fine on seeds. I think he'll make that whole thing. So maybe if we come back over to here, we will... Let me just haul both of these things in, and we're going to haul him up and over the hump and at least get him moved. There's basically two access points kind of this northwest valley. One of them, which is kind of a little ticklish, this one here. See, we caught a little bit of air. I wasn't trying to. It's kind of ticklish to get a combine over there, and kind of going the other way is a long way around, but oh well, we'll do what we gotta do. Haven't been over here for a while, so I'm pleased to see our grass is regrowing. I don't know if this coming season if we'll attempt to do bales again, but we'll see. I think when I'm done over there with the planter, I'm going to do this large field here. If you recall, we had potatoes in this one to the right, and this time it's going to be barley. Alright. Yeah, I don't want to leave it in the road. I'll maybe just back it over here. And then we'll go take over for our planter so we don't have to use hired labor. It takes a little tick every now and again just to keep him going. Pretty soon we'll be ready to fertilize. Alright, we'll unhire him. Oh, I know I hit B. There we go. Now we'll zip on around. This will get us through it quicker, and with the benefit of no hired help fee. Probably should do a few cosmetic things up in here too. Throw some grass around the edge, change the edge a little bit, put some trees in. It's really interesting looking at this landscape. It's also interesting seeing where Farmer Yip chose to spend more time putting in details. You know, just to the right, for example, there's a hedge, there's grass, there's all these trees, and it's more detail than he has where it's just bare rock down kind of at the other end. Not that I'm complaining, not in the slightest. It's just interesting, you know, when you spend time on a map and it becomes kind of one of your homes, you know, different things come to mind, you know, that you like to do with it. Or at least comes to my mind. But I don't think I'm alone in that. Especially in the more recent versions of Farming Sim, Giants have made it much easier to mod in-game your barnyard, if you will, and you can put in things that we could only dream of back here in these versions. You know, the whole concept of a placeable, for example. What the world is this? Did I miss a little? I must have. There we go. Can't have just a little spot undone now, can we? But back in Farm Sim 11, the whole concept of a placeable was kind of in its infancy. And in 09, it just flat out didn't exist. At least not that I'm aware of. Oh, you could get something that would be kind of like a placeable, but a lot of times what you had to do is you would get it in the form of a pallet or a vehicle of some kind, and then you had to move it into place. And in 11, oh, what did they let you do? I think you could start to put in, you know, things like a windmill or, oh, what are the things in the DLC? Maybe some electric things, or maybe a beehive. I don't know, just a few simple things. But those were kind of done by the Giants themselves. And I don't know that they ever shared the code so the modders could make their own placeables. And who knew that at the time that one day the whole system would depend on placeable type materials, you know, whether mods or created by the Giants, you know, to where you could put in a fence or a house or whatever you wanted in your barnyard and just kind of move them around like parts and pieces. Whereas in the past, most of this, you know, would have been just done in the map editor. One placeable that I am aware of from this era, I don't know how they did it. Probably someone clever enough to look at the code to figure out something. But it was on the Riverside map. Anybody that's played the map, you know, came with the Pro Farm DLC may remember there was kind of an open area, kind of in the middle east part of the map, north of the river, if you will. They put in a BGA, and I think by then, you know, there was three major DLCs that came out for Farm Sim 11, and one of them was the introduction of a BGA. And I just love DLCs or mods like that, you know, which extend the gameplay The other types of DLCs are cool too, where you can get new equipment and that kind of thing. But my favorite kinds of DLCs are those that extend gameplay and add something to the game that wasn't there previously. And the DLC that added the BG-8 was definitely one of those kinds of additions to the game. So someone cleverly used that and turned it into their own placeable, although the player, you couldn't choose where to place it. It was just a mod that if you had it in the folder, it would put the BGA down right on that empty space. Alright, we finished over here, and now we're going to head to the former potato field, if you will, and this time it's going to grow barley. And I chose to put barley in it. That's field number 11, which we're headed to, because we're going to be, nope, not straight ahead. I want to go over here. We'd ended up at the water tower up that one. It's going to be close to our feed mill, if you will, for the cattle. So, okay, checking to make sure barley is still in there, and we're planting. Like I say, it doesn't take long. It took us way longer to harvest all this, take care of all the aftermath, reduce it to dirt, and now it seems like, even though it's taking time off camera and everything, it is going somewhat quickly to get all this replanted. And you can maybe tell by how much time has elapsed. We're at 3:19 in the afternoon, and I forget kind of what time it was when we started. So I don't know if I'll be able to replant the entire map in a single day. I suspect not. So likely what's going to happen is at some point when it gets too dark, I'll just fast forward the time to the subsequent day and continue on it, which will be fine. I mean, it'll allow the first set of crops to start their growth cycles, and so we'll start to see foliage change on the map, and then once I get it all planted, it'll just come in time, because I mean, there's no way I can harvest all of it in a single day, so spanning it over a couple days should be fine. This actually is a fairly large field, so I can't drive hardly. I know it's a matter of pride to some folks in the country on farms as to how straight you can drive, how efficient you are. Oh, maybe I'll just blame it on the keyboard steering. How little overlap. Of course, when GPS comes along, it kind of takes all that away. It's no longer as much of a marker of skill as it is just following a computer. Now, I think when I cultivated this, I did it. I was trying to think how to best efficiently use the hired help. So maybe what I'll do is sneak back down over here. I'm going to have to help it later on whether I like it or not, so let's do another strip. And then I'm going to go scatter some fertilizer up in the northwest quadrant. And maybe while we're up there, I'll take a slight detour. I should have done that earlier in the Land Rover. Take a slight detour to see the gate that was opened over by, what do you call it? It's a place, I think, where you haul rock and have it turned into silica. It's one of the missions, and kind of as we saw on some earlier episodes, mission number 1 was pretty easy. Mission number 2 was a long, tough slog just to get money and equipment that we needed to do it. Missions number 3 and 4 came very quickly and easily. And so, but I don't know, I can't remember if we've gone over there to make sure that the gate is down. So I'd kind of like to see that has been taken care of. Although, I know we talked about it, just with having the kelp fertilizer available, it's easier to make than will be this other kind of fertilizer, which requires more inputs. But I think I'd still like to try it at some point. Let me get this lined up. And I know I gotta change the direction here. All right, let me hire it. There it goes. All right, let's blow this out. I don't know about you, but I kind of like this fertilizer spreader. Oh, and there goes the timer. So you know what? We're probably going to have to take a rain check on checking the other... Actually, no we don't. I'm going to sneak up there real quick. Let me drop this. We're going to head over here. And it's not that far over here. Is it just me, or does it seem like this thing goes faster when it's hauling that silly fertilizer spreader? Sure sounds like it's going faster. Whoops, I don't want to go in there. I'll drive over the crop just slightly. I'll sneak kind of around here. We'll head back up on the hill. It's kind of interesting. They start us in the quarry, and we get a tractor out, but we really don't have any purpose for coming back here until we... All right, there I see the gate is open, and the gate over here remains shut, so we don't have access to that part of the map. Well, we do, but we're not going to go in there. All right, so I think we stick rock in here, which we get down in the quarry, and then over here we pick up silica. Okay. That's all open and ready to rock and roll as soon as we're able to do it. I think in order to keep the gate open, we gotta keep, 2,000 of kelp fertilizer. Oh, and that's maybe something to keep in mind when I'm over there getting more fertilizer. But on the other hand, I don't know that it'll hurt my feelings if the door gets shut. I don't got anything in there. I don't need anything from there at the moment. So, you know what? It's probably... What I don't know is if I can purchase some fertilizer, if I'm going to... Because I'm probably going to run out of this kelp stuff. And I got to see if I can purchase some. And I don't know if I can do that or not. But anyways, I think I've bored you enough for this particular episode. Thank you so much for joining me for a half hour of your time. And I will let you go until the next one. Thanks again, and have a great day.